Hey, Adonis of the Adonis Gamers here, and today we're going to be talking about a video, but before we get into it, I'm going to have to warn about some spoiler warnings. In this video, there will be spoilers for the IDW comics and for Sonic Frontiers. If you've not read the comics or played Sonic Frontiers, or at the very least watched a cutscene compilation, you have been warned. So, in Sonic Frontiers, the newest character that we meet is Sage, an AI that seems like it might be evil, and on the side of, well, whatever Sonic's fighting this time around. He never even knows until the end of the game. However, it's actually just a somewhat friendly AI made by Eggman that got enhanced due to the Ancients' technology, and by the end of the game, they have a father-daughter relationship. Throughout the game, and one of the cutscenes, Sage even mentions Orbot and Cubot and views them as brothers, and Eggman kind of reluctantly goes, well, yeah, I guess you could say that. So that kind of opens the floodgates of Eggman starting to see his creations as children, and Sage kind of being the gateway that doesn't. So that's where this family tree comes in. You'll see here that we have Sage, Cubot, Orbot, and Metal Sonic, all listed as Sage's siblings directly underneath Robotnik, and for the sake of the family tree, I said his computer. Then you'll see that he has a child, quote unquote, when he was Mr. Tinkerer in the IDW comics, being Bell Tinkerer. The reason why Bell has the last name Tinkerer instead of Robotnik is, again, going back to the fact that Robotnik thought he was Mr. Tinkerer at the time. And then there is someone that we haven't met in the games or the comics yet, but we know has to exist. And that is the only actual living flesh and child descendant of Robotnik, who we have no idea who they are. We'll get back to that later when talking about the family tree, because that leads all the way to Nega Robotnik, and I'm saving that for last. So we go up from Sage's part of the family tree up to the Robotnik's level, where you have Robotnik, his computer, himself thinking he was Mr. Tinkerer, which I have listed as Mr. Tinkerer Brain, and then an unknown person that we will meet at some point in the future. And then you have his cousin, Maria Robotnik. Going up a level, you have his father and his mother, who we have no information on other than that it had to have been his father was Robotnik. And then you have what I can only assume was his uncle, because Maria also has the last name Robotnik. And then you have his half-uncle, Shadow Hedgehog, who, instead of being a descendant of Gerald and whoever Gerald Robotnik got with, in order to have Eggman's father and uncle, it was a partnership between Gerald Robotnik and Black Doom that made Shadow the Hedgehog. So that's where it goes from Eggman upwards. To put this into perspective, Maria would be Sage's first cousin once removed, and Shadow would be great or grand Uncle Shadow. And Black Doom and Gerald Robotnik would be Great Grandpa Robotnik and Great Grandpa Doom. So, as you can see, the family tree does get a little interesting, and this is just the main part of it. This takes us back to unknown Robotnik, who turns out to be the only living flesh and blood descendant of Eggman that we know of. It had to be a Robotnik, and at some point, generations later, we ended up with Eggman Nega. About some 200 years later, but I digress. This would put Nega Robotnik being Sage's fourth great-grandnephew. And Nega also made his own Metal Sonic that he called Metal 3.0. And if we're considering Metal Sonic to be Robotnik's child, it only seems fair to consider Metal 3.0 to be Nega's child, therefore being Sage's fifth great-grandnephew, Metal Sonic 3.0. And that is the entirety of the current known canon Eggman family tree, with Sage being the root. This does not include any continuities that are no longer considered canon. Again, this is just IDW comics in the video game canon. This is not talking about any of the Archie families and members of the Eggman or Robotnik family tree. This isn't talking about the Sonic the Comic, Fleetway comics, none of that. This is just the video game and IDW canon. If more people get added to the Robotnik family tree, I will possibly make an update video in the future. But as of right now, that is all for today's topic. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you all next time. Remember, stay awesome.
We meet again.